Alright, welcome to another episode of Aselia the Eternal. We have an interesting little interlude here. It's not really a mission. It's kind of a dungeon crawler. Let me get rid of my phone. Sorry about that. It's a little bit of a dungeon crawler, kind of. It's not very long. I suspect there's actually multiple right answers to this because it feels kind of inconsistent, but I'm going to go through the decisions that I made to get me to where I wanted to go. But this should be pretty quick, hopefully. There's really not a lot that you can do at this point. It's a little bit of a stat check, but it seems pretty generous, actually. So I think, unless you just haven't leveled the main heroine at all, you should be able to make it through this dungeon without many issues. Only one I can see having real issues would be maybe Orpha. I guess I don't know how Listino works, but um, with Utica we don't have any issues. She's also almost max level, so.
何しろエターナルすらも寄せ付けないほど強力ですから。この迷宮の先、最深部に時果ての間という部屋があります。神剣と契約者が出会う場所です。そこを目指してください。この門をくぐった時から試練は始まります。中で起きる出来事は神剣たちの試練。何が起きるかは分かりません。その扉に触れるかどうかが最後の選択です。人々が記憶を失うのはユートさんが触れるかくぐるかした時ですから。わかりました。ユートさん、ここから先はエターナルは踏み込んではならない規律となっています。ユートさんならば必ず剣を手に入れることができるでしょう。ご武運を。
承知。剣を得られるまで全ての障害は引き受けます。どうかユート殿は手前の後ろに。
I guess this is really meant to measure Yuto's determination, maybe? Being asked to walk forward with no real indication of whether he's going in the right direction or not. It's really just trusting or measuring whether he believes in himself and whether he's willing to make the effort anyway, I guess. Like I said, I think there's multiple right answers to this, but it's also not difficult to get lost necessarily. The labyrinth is actually pretty small. The challenge is that the directions don't change. So it helps to think of these as like true north directions. So rather than going forward or going left, you're going north or you're going west, if that makes sense. That really tripped me up initially when I first had to deal with it, because I thought that I was going like, oh, I'm going back to where I was. It's like, no, you're going south. So once you know that, it's a lot harder to get lost. But this part of the game is actually pretty generous. There's quite a few opportunities to heal if you're if the heroine is getting damaged. But you do have to fight several pretty powerful enemies, relatively powerful enemies. So this is almost testing how effective your character is or your heroine is as an all-rounder, essentially. Because we do fight several pretty weak dragons, but dragons nonetheless. In addition to this, which is the Eternity Swords testing Utica as much as they're testing Yuto here.
力を貸していただきたく思いやってきました。手前にはあなたの力が必要なのです。理想のため、故郷の同胞のために。私たちは一方的に力だけを貸さない。力を見せなさい。永劫の時を戦い続けるため。ユート殿、手前の後ろへ。参る。
As you can see, this enemy is not especially threatening. It may be possible that there's a way to go through this without fighting the dragons. I honestly can't be bothered to test it. At this point, you should be strong enough to deal with the dragons, and you'll see what I mean. But again, my recommendation would be if you're struggling with this, if you can, go back to the previous mission and level up your heroine so that she's competitive, which I think you should have been doing already, but again, you know, maybe your heroine's Orpha or whatever and she's level 20 instead of level 25, and you know, that makes a difference. Who knows? Actually, it's possible that Orpha might not even have to deal with this. I don't remember enough of the game to know that this is something that every heroine goes through, because Lithina, for example, is a possible heroine, but she doesn't have an Eternity Sword at all, so she's not a spirit. So I don't know if that means that she becomes a Net Ranger, or if something completely different happens. Maybe you don't become an Eternal at all. An interesting idea. I believe we go forward here. Another pretty easy enemy. Excuse me.
手前の戦い闇を倒す。
Now we're going to go left. Like I said, this is south, this is west, right? So we're going to go left. We're going to go west. We're going to go into a different path than we were previously. We're going to go forward. Like I said, feel free to experiment here. I don't know that you get experience or anything, but I do think that you get mana crystals. I'm assuming that that affects your mind, but I don't know that for sure.
手前はユート殿に剣を捧げた身、露払いをするのも当然のことでしょう。それに、あれはきっと手前の試練。焦らず参りましょう。
About that, Yuto. Desire pretty routinely gave you splitting migraines and tried to take over your body on multiple occasions. Just because he was useful doesn't mean that he was a pain in the ass.
大丈夫ですか?
Or doesn't mean that he wasn't a pain in the ass, excuse me. Ah.
はい。手前のことなら心配なく。そろそろでしょうか。仕掛けてくるか、それともより油断を誘ってからか。どちらにせよ、手前にできることは現れたものを切るのみ。来た。揺るがぬ心、見せてもらいました。ですが、まだ足りません。
So here's the stat check, right?
見せなさい。ユート殿、どうか前には出られませぬよう。
So we've got a 6,000 HP dragon with a 360 damage attack. Excuse me. An 800 damage divine magic spell. The dragons are going to be the hard part of this mission, right? I can easily see a character like Arfa, for example, struggling with this. I don't know if every character gets the same trial or not. But if they do, it's very, very important that you have your heroine at a high enough level to survive this. Based on what I see here, I think level 20 would be enough for most characters, if not for all characters. But again, there's no reason not to level these characters up to maximum level because these are going to be your two most powerful characters, right? Yuto and your heroine are going to be the two most powerful characters you have access to. So from that perspective, there's no reason not to level them up, in my opinion. Our Chaos Impact does a lot of damage there, which is part of the reason why we're able to one-round this enemy. Otherwise, we would probably not be able to one-round this dragon. But as you can see, his Fire Breath does good damage. is about 1,000 HP, 900 HP. But we are more than strong enough to survive this. And then now we go left, because that's the only way to go forward. And this should take us to the second floor. We go forward. So if we go forward here, we get to heal. Now, I'm not particularly concerned about our HP at this point, but it's nice to be able to refresh our attack charges at this point. That's going to prevent us from running into a situation where we don't have enough damage to kill an enemy quickly, in which case it may become dangerous. Now, I don't know that this is necessary, but I'm going to go right here, because this allows us to get a mana crystal. I don't know that this gives us mana. I suspect that it gives us mind, but I don't actually know exactly what consequences being in the labyrinth has for us, whether it affects our mind value or not, so I figured we might as well get the mana crystal. Oh my god, stop growling. And this is basically, you know, it's a green dragon instead of a red dragon, but it's doing basically the same thing that the last one was doing here. It's a very bright shade of green, too. But Chaos Impact does a lot of damage. And we're gonna go forward here. Remember, we just went right, so going left would take us back to where we just were. So we're gonna go forward. This gives us a mana crystal. Again, I assume that this gives us extra mind. I don't think that it gives us mana, but maybe it does. We're gonna return back. We're going to go left or west. We're going to go left or west again, right? So we're now going across the intersection. We have another enemy to fight.
軽い気持ちならば道を開けよ。
The Black Dragon.
手前を雲山無 闇よ、カオスインパクト。
So if we hadn't gone to that healing crystal, we would have been out of charges for Chaos Impact at this point, I think. So, you know, the amount of damage that we would be doing here would be different if we hadn't healed. I don't think we would be in any danger from our HP, necessarily, but it's just something to keep in mind, especially for a character like Orpha or Aselia, where you have, like, Heaven Sword, or really powerful abilities with low usages. And being able to heal is actually pretty useful. There's actually multiple points that you can heal in this mission, so if you're really struggling, experiment with all of the different paths that you can take. There's actually, I think, like 3 or 4 different mana crystals that heal you. So you can heal, like, every enemy or every other enemy if you want. And then we're going to go backwards. Right, we're not going back to where we were, we're going south, right? We're going south, so remember that. We are now going in a different direction. And we're going to take left again, right? We just went backwards, we just went south. So going north would take us where we just were, so we want to go left again. And this should take us to the end of the dungeon.
まだ何かありましょうか。これはゲート。かつて求めを持つし者よ。奥であなたを待つ者がいます。手前はあなたは残らねばなります。私を深淵の力を得ようとするならば。はい、お気をつけて。
人の子よ、よくぞここまでたどり着いた。この場所を神剣を持たぬ者が訪れたのは4周期以来だろうか。歓迎しよう。その通り、なかなか興味深いものが。
I don't know that Yuto's that interesting. Let's not lay it on too thick here.
我は永遠神剣、聖剣、知恵を司る者。ここは我らが安息の地。いかにもその呼び方が妥当なのかわからんが、我が一族の中でも我々は強い力を持つ。そなたが追おうとしている世界と同等
How convenient.
求める限り答えは逃げていく。求めない限り答えは見つからない。汝は答えは知っているか？それこそが我が求める剣なり。すべては無から始まる。無であればよい。永劫の時を生き、すべての答えを手に入れるのだ。我は無知を知る者、故にすべてを求める。お主を持ち主と認める。共に探求の旅に出ると知り。 聖剣者ユウトよ、今お主は新しい存在へと生まれ変わったのだ。我を奮い、お主の求める答えを探すために。過当な剣と一緒にするなと言っているだろう。わからんやつだな、お主。聞こえているぞ。我とお主の心はつながっているのだ。上位の存在ともなれば強い自我を持つのだ。本能程度しかない過当な剣と一緒にするな。求めなどというのは第4位。
Rank 4 is pretty high.
我はだな。なんだと。ユウトよ、これからお主は聖剣者ユウトと名乗るがよい。我を手にした者はそう名乗るしきたりなのだ。やだとはなんだ。お主は受け継がれる名前をなんだと。
試練とは一人の力で受けるもの。エターナルになるならば。それでは試練を。ですがあなたの心の強さはすでにエターナルと変わりません。心の強さ、そんなものが手前にあるとは思えませぬが。弱さを認めて立つ、それもまた強さだから。あなたの試練は心ではなく力。今の私はあなたと同じ強さ。戦い、自分を超えなさい。そしてその時こそ永劫の時を、戦う力を。なるほど、手前には分かりやすくてありがたいです。では、いざ。
あなたは私の待っていたものなの。
迷いはない。ならば手前になせぬことなどないはず。
すくみ上がるほどの恐怖。これはどうですか。耐えて見せなさい。
ダメだ。マイル。闇よ、すべてを飲み込みて混沌と化せ。衝撃を持ちてかの者を打ち倒せ。カオスインパクト。
Has she been using Full Moon Sword this entire time? Probably why she's not doing very much damage.
ガツリンの太刀。いか
Oh my goodness. A perfect KO.
見事です。剣をあなたに新たなる力を。これは私の深淵の力。
So Tokimi had two swords.
作られしあなたの魂
I wonder if Utica gets two swords, if she gets Providence and Profundity, or if she only gets one.
信じた道を生きなさい。なんて暖かい。私は明河を取り込み、一振りの剣となります。エターナル、深淵の翼、ウルカの傍らにあるため。深淵、わかった。共に行こう。ユート殿。はい。
That's boring.
ユート殿、それが。スピリットの解放、必ず成し遂げねば。
試練は終わりです。改めてようこそ私たちの時間へ、若きエターナルたち。聖剣者ユート、深淵の翼ウルカ。
時見様、深淵を得て手前は自らの使命をやっと思い出しました。
そうですか。リュトリアムをテムオリンたちに渡さないよう私たちが放った守護者、それがあなたでした。ただテムオリンたちの介入によってあなたが本来持つべき剣は歪められ、帝国の陣営につくことになってしまったのです。本来は私たちが責任を持って介入すべきでした。ごめんなさい。
いえ、その介入があったからこそ手前はより強くなる可能性を得られたのでしょう。後悔などありませぬ。
そう言ってもらえると心が救われます。これから私たちはファンタズマゴリアへと帰還します。そしてテムオリンたち、ローエターナルをファンタズマゴリアから排除します。この世界での最後の戦いとなるでしょう。行きます。
この部屋ですか？
Alright, I'm gonna stop there. We will pick up in the next video. Thanks for watching.